Welcome back. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true stories that will make you rethink your summer plans. We think of summer as carefree, but darkness can lurk even in the brightest season. These are real accounts, ordinary people whose summer nights turned into nightmares. Sometimes the most terrifying things happen when you least expect them. So turn down the lights and get comfortable. Here are 3 chilling tales that prove summer isn't always safe. Let's begin. Mark, an experienced outdoors man, a seasoned hiker, and someone who felt completely at home in the wilderness, decided to go camping alone in a remote forest. He sought the solitude, the challenge, and the deep connection with nature that only a solo trip could provide. He ventured deep into the woods, further than most dared to go, seeking a truly isolated experience. The first night, as darkness enveloped the forest, he heard heavy footsteps circling his camp. They were slow, deliberate, and unsettlingly close. The sound broke the silence of the night, replacing it with a growing sense of unease. The footsteps were too heavy, too rhythmic, too deliberate to be an animal. Animals moved with a certain grace, a certain randomness. These were different. He called out, his voice echoing through the trees, hoping to scare away whatever was out there, or perhaps to identify it. But only silence answered. The footsteps stopped, leaving an even more unsettling quiet in their wake. The forest held its breath, waiting, trying to sleep. Despite the gnawing fear, he was jolted awake by something. A sudden, sharp movement, brushing the side of his tent. A distinct pressure against the thin nylon wall. It felt deliberate, like something was testing the barrier between them. Then a raspy, inhuman breathing, close and menacing, filled the small space inside the tent. Right next to his head, he could feel the vibrations through the fabric, the warmth of the breath on the tent wall. Frozen in terror, his mind racing, he listened as the tent zipper, the only thing separating him from the unknown, slowly slid down from the outside. Each millimeter of movement was an eternity, amplifying the dread. A gravelly voice whispered, a sound that seemed to scrape against his very soul, peekaboo. The word hung in the air, a chilling promise of something terrible. Adrenaline took over, overriding the fear, flooding his system with a primal urge to survive. Mark kicked the tent wall with all his might, aiming for where he thought the voice had come from. Heard a grunt, a sound of surprise and pain, confirming that something was indeed out there, and scrambled out the other side, not through the opening, but tearing through the fabric in a desperate attempt to escape. He ran barefoot through the woods, the sharp rocks and tangled roots tearing at his feet, but he didn't care. Not daring to look back, convinced that whatever was after him was still close behind, until he found a dirt road at sunrise, exhausted, terrified, and utterly alone. He never returned for his gear, the memory of that night too terrifying to face. Rangers found only his abandoned campsite, a scene of disarray and a silent testament to the terror that had unfolded. Mark still has no idea who or what visited him that night, leaving him with a fear that would forever haunt his dreams. Sometimes, the scariest things in the woods aren't the obvious dangers, aren't animals. It's the unseen, the unknown, the things that defy explanation. It's what's watching, lurking just beyond the edge of the firelight, hidden in shadows, barely visible, lurking unseen, just out of sight. The things that make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Mark's story is a reminder that even in the most familiar environments, true isolation can be terrifying. The wilderness can amplify your fears, turning them into something tangible. Even the most experienced can become prey, vulnerable to forces they don't understand. The forest keeps its secrets, guarding them jealously, revealing them only to those who dare to venture too deep. And some things are better left unknown. Some doors are better left unopened. Would you ever camp alone again, knowing what might be lurking just beyond the trees? Chloe and her friends had a tradition, a ritual they looked forward to every summer. It was a bond, a shared experience that tied them together, creating memories that would last a lifetime. It involved midnight swims in a secluded lake, far from the prying eyes of the town, a place where they felt truly free and uninhibited. This lake was their sanctuary, their escape from the everyday. One hot June night, the air thick with the promise of summer, the stars shimmering like diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth. The perfect night for their annual swim. They swam to a floating dock, a wooden platform anchored in the middle of the lake, their usual meeting spot. It was a place to rest, to talk, and to simply enjoy the tranquility of the night. They spent hours laughing under the stars, sharing stories, and feeling the cool water against their skin. The night was filled with joy, with a sense of camaraderie that only close friends can understand. Suddenly Ben, ever the observant one, saw something large moving beneath the water, a dark shape that seemed to glide effortlessly through the depths. He couldn't quite make out what it was, but it filled him with a sense of unease. Chloe, oblivious to Ben's apprehension, felt something cold brush her leg, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver down her spine. She dismissed it as a stray piece of seaweed, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Fear spread like wildfire as they heard slow, rhythmic splashing, a sound that echoed across the still water, growing louder with each passing moment. It was a sound that spoke of something large, something powerful, and something unknown. The splashing was coming from the shore, getting closer and closer, as if something was deliberately approaching them, stalking them from the darkness. Then, a violent thud shook the dock, sending tremors through the wooden planks, a force so strong that it threatened to capsize the entire platform. This was followed by a scraping underneath, like claws on wood, a chilling sound that resonated deep within their bones, confirming their worst fears. Something was beneath them, and it was not friendly. Panic erupted, shattering the peaceful atmosphere of the night. Screams filled the air as the friends realized the danger they were in. They leapt into the water, swimming desperately for shore, their arms and legs churning through the water, fueled by adrenaline and pure terror. Chloe, glancing back in a moment of sheer terror, glimpsed a dark, sleek shape pacing them, moving with an unnatural speed and grace. It was too fast, too big to be a fish, a creature of nightmare proportions that defied explanation. They reached land, gasping for air, their bodies trembling with exhaustion and fear, and looked back at the water, expecting to see something. The water was still, the surface undisturbed, as if nothing had ever happened. The silence was deafening, broken only by their ragged breaths. They never spoke of it again, burying the memory deep within their hearts, a secret they would carry with them for the rest of their lives, and never swam at night, forever haunted by the events of that fateful evening. The lake had lost its allure, its magic replaced by a chilling sense of dread. Chloe still dreams of that cold, black water, the dark shape lurking beneath the surface, the feeling of something brushing against her leg. Sometimes, what's beneath the surface is best left unseen, the mysteries of the deep better left undisturbed. The lake holds its secrets, guarding them jealously, refusing to reveal the truth of what lies beneath. And some traditions should be broken, especially those that lead us into the darkness, into the unknown depths of fear. Would you dare swim in the dark again? Knowing what might be lurking beneath, would you risk venturing into the unknown? Not all summer memories are safe. Some are best left forgotten, buried deep within the recesses of our minds, lest they resurface to haunt us once more. 4 friends, eager for adventure and the freedom of the open road. Sarah, the planner, always organized and ready with a map. Jessica, the free spirit, always up for anything. And the life of the party, Mike, the responsible one, always behind the wheel, ensuring everyone's safety. And Tom, the comedian, armed with jokes and stories to keep the spirits high, set out on a summer road trip. A classic American adventure filled with laughter, music, and the promise of unforgettable memories. They packed their bags, filled the gas tank, and pointed their trusty van towards the horizon, ready to embrace whatever the road had in store. In the Nevada desert, where the sun beats down relentlessly and the landscape stretches out in endless shades of brown and red, they picked up a hitchhiker, a solitary figure standing by the side of the desolate highway, thumb outstretched, hoping for a ride to somewhere, anywhere. A gaunt man with cold, pale eyes that seemed to pierce through you, sending a shiver down your spine. He barely spoke, offering only curt nods and mumbled responses to their friendly attempts at conversation. Just stared and hummed a tuneless melody, his gaze unsettlingly fixed on some distant point, polishing a large hunting knife in his lap with a slow, deliberate motion that made the air crackle with unspoken tension. Jessica, sensing the growing unease in the van, scribbled a warning to the front seat on a scrap of paper, her hand trembling slightly as she wrote, "He has a knife. Pull over now." The message was short, urgent, and filled with a primal fear that resonated through the cramped space of the van. Mike, his heart pounding in his chest, calmly pulled over to the side of the road, trying to maintain a facade of normalcy, pretending the van had engine trouble, hoping to buy them some time and figure out a plan. He and Tom got out of the van, their eyes darting nervously towards the hitchhiker, assessing the situation, then yanked open the side door with a sudden burst of adrenaline, shouting for Sarah and Jessica to run as fast as they could to get as far away from the van as possible. The stranger lunged with surprising speed, his eyes blazing with a predatory intensity, but Tom, reacting instinctively, slammed the door shut and locked him inside, trapping the menacing figure within the confines of their vehicle. They abandoned the van without a second thought, leaving behind their possessions, their carefully planned itinerary, and any semblance of security, and sprinted into the vast, unforgiving desert night, their lungs burning, their hearts pounding, driven by a primal instinct to survive. The man was pounding on the windows behind them, a furious, desperate rage contorting his features as he tried to break free from his metal prison. Hours later, exhausted, dehydrated, and terrified, a truck driver, a beacon of hope in the darkness, rescued them from the clutches of the desert. Police found the van empty, a silent testament to the terrifying events that had unfolded. The window smashed, a gaping hole in the glass, a symbol of the stranger's escape. The stranger gone, vanished into the vast expanse of the desert, leaving behind only questions and a lingering sense of dread. The friends lost everything but their lives, their innocence shattered, their sense of security forever compromised. Sometimes, kindness can be dangerous, a naive act that opens the door to unimaginable horrors. The desert keeps its ghosts, its secrets buried beneath the shifting sands, whispering tales of lost souls and forgotten tragedies. And not all who wander are lost. Some are driven by darker purposes, their paths guided by malice and a thirst for something sinister. Some are hunting, preying on the unsuspecting, their intentions hidden behind a mask of normalcy. Would you stop for a stranger at night? Would you risk your safety for the sake of compassion? The road can be as unforgiving as the wild, a place where the rules of civilization break down and the primal instincts take over. Trust your instincts, that gut feeling, that inner voice that whispers warnings in your ear. They might save your life when reason fails and danger lurks around every bend. The friends never spoke of that night again, the trauma too deep, the memories too painful to revisit. But the memory still haunts them, a dark shadow lurking in the corners of their minds, a constant reminder of the night their lives changed forever. Some rides are one way, journeys from which there is no return, leaving you forever changed by the darkness you encountered along the way. That concludes our journey into summer's shadows. These stories remind us joy and danger can share the same season. Stay alert, trust your instincts, and keep your summer safe. Thanks to Mark, Chloe, and Sarah's group for sharing their stories. If you have a chilling tale, send it in. I read every one. Which story will keep you up tonight? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, stay safe out there.